Hello! This story is part of a series titled Memories of Tehran. Growing up in Iran, the first school I attended was called Bettygossschool. It had a profound influence on my life. Some of those memories I'd like to share with you. And if you find them interesting, may I suggest another one of my stories titled The Pea Shooters. Welcome to Storytime with Q Matters. My name is Kayo Jijina, and this is my story titled Bettygossschool Collecting Memories. I hope you enjoy it. Growing up in Tehran, I first attended Bettygossschool from the mid to late 60s. It would have been kindergarten through the 4th grade. Bettygoss was a small school. I found it easy to fit in and looked forward to riding the bus each day. When the morning bell rang, we would line up in front of our teachers and they would walk us into class. Initially, the school curriculum was taught exclusively in English. Within a couple of years, it expanded into 2 sections, a Persian section and an English section, with separate recess times and lunch breaks. Not sure why we had to change schools after the 4th grade, but we did. A friend of mine, Satrag, had an in with some of the cooks at school. They were part of the Armenian community. I learned if I stood in line with Satrag, my chances of being offered the coveted tadir went up significantly. Tadir being a flavorful golden brown rice from the bottom of the pot, never burnt, available in limited supply. In the days before safety glass, we had splinter glass. A classmate, Patrick, decided to walk through a glass door as he sought quick access to the teacher's lounge. I remember watching glass being plucked out of his leg with tweezers as private transportation was being arranged for his trip to the hospital. I do not remember the presence of ambulances in those days. When it came to emergencies, people either took a cab or a passerby helped out. Slowing down and opening the door might have been a better choice for Patrick. I had an English friend by the name of Peter. Peter came to school with die-cast cars his father brought back from England. The Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was my all-time favorite. It was where my love of cars began and has stayed with me for most of my life. I still have some of my first die-cast cars. In the 2nd grade, Miss Rosie introduced me to Shakespeare through readings of A Midsummer Night's Dream and Macbeth. Rosemary Manzari was raised in England and treated us to an afternoon of story time. After school, some of Shakespeare's characters would follow me home and would keep me up at night while they hid under my bed. During recess, I decided to join a group of kids running circles around the school playground. Ali was the school tough guy and always ran ahead of the pack. I was pretty fast and decided to take Ali on. The end result was I woke up in the doctor's office with stitches and a huge bandage over my left eye. I still have the scar. Witnesses said Ali tripped me as I ran past him, but I can't say. Bettygossschool was where I had my first crush on a girl. Her name was Sherry. Most of the other boys thought she was cute and would tease each other. We were not at an age to admit such things such as liking girls. Our reputations were at stake. My friend Robert taught me to pop my knuckles, and Peter how to make my thumb seem like it was double jointed and have it do a dance on the tabletop, grossing many of our classmates out. There was an episode involving Kool-Aid and a classmate noticing my tongue was red. I did 2 things that day I was not proud of: stealing and blaming it on somebody else. I remember almost flunking the 4th grade, Miss Sue Nozari's class. Mom did not have the patience to figure out how to help me. Instead, she did all my assignments for me, and I turned them in. The rest of the school years, I struggled, and somehow managed to pass. It would not be until attending college that I would discover I was a kinesthetic learner. I learnt by doing. Out of all my memories of Bettygossschool, 2 would stand out for me. I might even categorize them as somehow being mysterious. The first experience took place during lunch recess on a sunny afternoon. The playground was small, with students milling around, playing tag, hopscotch, talking, running, playing ball, whatever students do. When suddenly I noticed the overhead power lines shaking violently. My peripheral vision caught sight of a dark object crashing down on the playground floor, like a meteor falling from the sky. My eye followed the trajectory, and I saw a blackbird roughly the size of a crow. A group of onlookers gathered around to watch. It was clear the bird had been hurt and was unable to fly, but was trying to stand and flee to safety. Each time it tried, it lost its balance and dripped blood onto the playground. I stood there silently, not knowing what else to do. A feeling in the pit of my stomach told me something was wrong, and I felt sadness the longer I watched. The school custodian walked up to the bird, picked it up, and examined it. His arm made a snapping motion just before he tossed the bird over the wall. Like a spaceship exiting the Earth's orbit after liftoff, the bird's head separated from the body. The two objects went over the wall and landed somewhere on the dirt lot next door. The custodian just walked away, leaving us standing there, stunned to the harsh reality we had been witness to. The second incident took place some months later, following a week of heavy rains. Recess time was moved inside whenever it rained like that. When the rain finally stopped, we were allowed to go outside and play. Like the opening of floodgates, we poured onto the playground, releasing all the pent-up energy we had been storing over the past few days. As I ran around in circles, word spread across the small playground. I heard dares issued. "I dare you." "No, I double dare you," came the shouts. I came towards a bunch of kids, encouraging each other to climb to the top rung of the slide, stand up, and touch the metal shed roof with their fingertips. The metal shed hung over the slide by a few feet. I ran over to the slide while others gathered and watched. "Don't do it! I tried it and it's really difficult to let go," came the warning from a young girl. Not understanding what she meant, I began my ascent. I was tall for my age, and the roof frame was well within my reach. Leaning forward, I grabbed one of the crosspoles. Instantly, a rapid series of pulses shook my whole body. It felt like an invisible hand had got hold of me. I tried to let go but could not. My body felt paralyzed. Eventually, the sensation released me, and I slid down to the ground. My body felt weak. It took me a while to regain my balance. A line began to form at the steps to the slide. The girl who had warned me went and got the playground monitor. The slide was closed off for the day, and the line of disgruntled students were told to go play someplace else. Later that afternoon, after we returned to our classes, there came a lecture about the dangers of electricity. I understood then what I had experienced was being electrocuted, but did not understand the severity of it. All I knew was the experience had not been a pleasant one. Losing control of one's body in that way, the feeling of nausea that followed only made it worse. No one had to tell me twice. I would avoid such experiences in the future. Years later, through happenstance, I would find myself working in the field of electronics. You might even say I was shocked into it.